All right. So intermediary, this one's just as fun to explain as sub-agency, although intermediary might be more common of a term, so it might be something you've heard before. Intermediary has a few steps. So to start at the top, if both the buyer and the seller are working with agents at the same brokerage, then it would be an intermediary transaction potentially if you decided to enter into an agreement. So both sides of the party, when they're signing their representation agreements or their listing agreements, they have to decide, am I open to working with someone on the other side of the transaction that has the same brokerage? And so that's step one. You have to make that decision. As a seller, it makes sense to say that you would work with intermediary because you want to open up your pool of buyers. You don't want to exclude people that are eligible to buy your house. So in most cases, it makes sense. Now, with that said, you can agree to do it when you sign your agreements. You're going to have to agree to do it again when you get an offer that falls in an intermediary situation. So you get two chances to say you're going to do this. So if you're kind of unsure, just keep that in mind. It might be worth trying, just to have more options in terms of sellers and buyers to you. There are two types of intermediary. There's intermediary with appointments and there's intermediary without appointments. So with appointments means that the broker has assigned two separate agents, one to the buyer, one to the seller. And what that allows us to do is still advise and keep your information confidential. The broker cannot be one of those people because the broker is subject to review all files and information and technically can't be unbiased when you have access to all of the information. So intermediary means two separate agents. Broker can't be one of them. There's also an intermediary without appointments, and this means that essentially at that point the agents can't really operate unbiased, and so the advice kind of has to stop. We start acting a little bit more as paper pushers than anything else at that point. If we were going to do anything other than paper pushers, then it just has to be the same for both parties. So intermediary can be a little bit tricky, but at the end of the day, ultimately what you're doing is you're just opening a larger pool of buyers and sellers out there, depending on which side of the transaction you're on. And so it can definitely be pro to go for.